Welcome back to the Vegan Perspective. Today I want to go through some of the stuff in regards to a recent video that I did about animals in entertainment, specifically horses. And after rewatching my video, I felt like it was more on the documentative style. So those of you who haven't been to my channel before, I usually will cover content from a vegan's perspective and give my input. I do two different forms of video contents. I think I'll bounce between the two, whereas I'll kind of like story tell and do more documentary style. It's a little bit more scripted, and I'll go through whatever the broader point is I'm going over their videos. And I'll do some videos where I'll either watch a video by a vegan or a video by somebody who is talking about vegan related topics. And I'll give my more personal experience or criticism or commentary. So if you like the more documentary style of storytelling, I'll post a video of my most recent video in regards to animals in entertainment here. I suggest you go watch that. And if you enjoy more personal commentary where I'm going to go through either my experiences as a vegan or maybe my opinion on something that somebody has said, I'll post an image of another video on my channel. You can go watch that here. I'll try to put little title cards up so you can just easily click and follow through to whichever video you want to watch. But this one specifically, I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on my opinion of using horses for either entertainment. And that could be a lot of different things, right? Either having retired horses being ridden by other people to help fund whatever sanctuary or animal farm they're at, or in horse racing. So first things first, before I even go into some of these videos, because after doing research on horses in entertainment, I stumbled upon other videos that I felt bothered me, or maybe shed some light on what goes through the mind of a vegan. And maybe that'll stimulate either somebody who's not fully vegan, or maybe a person who's strictly a carnivore or eats meat, non-vegans and such, and maybe plant the seed and get you thinking a little bit as far as what these horses might go through, and then also things that you don't necessarily see or even think about. But I want to start this video off with a story that I actually shared with a coworker of mine recently. And this goes way back before I was even vegan or vegetarian. I was dating a girl who was vegetarian. She did expose me to all the animal cruelty documentaries. I think Land of Hope and Glory and Dominion. And at the time, I think she was pescatarian, so she still occasionally ate fish, but she definitely ate cheese and things like that. And at the time, I was just considering giving it a try, just not for the animal's sake, but more for my own personal sake, as at the time I was pretty big into bodybuilding, and I wanted to turn it into a challenge to see if everything that all these people are saying about not being able to build muscle on a vegetarian or vegan diet was true. So anyways, I remember she was really big into horses. She was actually a huge horse lover, and she wanted to go see the Cirque du Soleil show. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a Cirque du Soleil show with horse performances. And so I remember she really wanted to go, so she ended up getting us some tickets, and we went to this show. And we watched it. The show ended, and I remember we saw all the horses behind the stadium in these big pens with all the transportation trucks that these horses usually go on. And I remember she was telling me, it's sad that these horses, they go through so much with transportation, with being ridden, and a lot of these retired horses end up either after a couple of years when they can no longer perform, they'll go to what they'll say, quote unquote, are sanctuaries. Or if they're a really good performing horse, they'll actually be sent to go breed more horses, right? So that way they can genetically keep an outstanding performing horse consistent through breeding two horses that have great genetics. So she was sharing all these things with me, and I remember thinking, like, I remember feeling so bad for these horses. And you see a lot of them, they have what's called swayback, which I think at first glance, I'll admit, does look like it hurts. But apparently, a lot of research suggests that that's not the case. But I still think that seeing these animals with this really severe arch in their back and being sent to either sanctuaries and in the most severe cases being sent to slaughter, she's sharing all this information with me, and I remember thinking in the back of my head, why the fuck are we here then? Why are we here then if these horses are going through all this sort of abuse and exploitation? Why did you take me here if you feel this way about these horses? And I think for people who are not vegan and watching this video, I think back then, this is a good example of me not being vegan, and that exposure to what these animals go through coming to light helped me realize, what am I doing? If I'm paying for this show and my money is keeping this show funded, but I feel bad about these horses, then why am I paying for this show? I actually think that ever since then, I've just been completely turned off by zoos, so I don't support zoos. I don't go to zoos. I think the last time I went to a zoo was with my son, and that was really hard for me. My partner really wanted to take him. I really didn't want to go, and I was in that phase of, do I rob my child of experiences because if something I don't support? If you ask me now today, no, I wouldn't take him to the zoo. Straight up, I would take them to a sanctuary, take them to a place that shelters these animals and honestly will take care of them, let them roam freely, and let them do whatever they want to do. I wouldn't go to a zoo that keeps these animals' cages locked up. And I think that's something that I'm going to go over in another video, a lot of the things that go on behind closed doors that most people don't typically know about zoos. But for now, we're talking about horses. That's my story when it comes to experiencing firsthand exploitation of these horses in entertainment, right? And after doing that video about horses, I started getting recommendation videos in my feed about more horse related stuff, and I stumbled across this video of this racehorse, Goodnight Olive, who apparently had won, I don't know, 8+ back-to-back races. I can't remember the exact number. It's a horse that apparently is highly successful, right? Obviously, if a horse is consistently winning and you own this racing horse, you're going to make a lot of money, right? So I stumbled on this video of this bid on this horse, and I'll play it here, but I'll keep the audio muted. But I don't know, something about this video, as I'm watching, they praise about how amazing she is and how many races she had won back to back, how profitable this horse is. I don't know, it started to just really bother me. This is something that if we transported ourselves back to 100 years, it's weird to see the sale of a horse being sold for millions of dollars with the only intention being to make profit off of, right? I don't know if actually I do. I think the intent. I've researched into this a little bit more, and I think the person who actually won this horse at 6 million actually intends to pair it with a stallion or whatever they're called. I'm not a horse expert, and to breed it. So I don't know. That's just something that I don't know. Just bothers me. You have to take it into perspective that this is a horse that has been raced and probably is now at the point in its life where it's going to start to decline as far as performance goes, right? I think these race horses, they usually race somewhere between 5 to 8 years old. And I believe the average horse life is, life expectancy of a horse is somewhere between 25 to 30 years old. Now that this horse is no longer going to be performing as well as it will, what's the next best thing I can do, right? I'm going to sell the horse to somebody that wants to breed it and takes the risk of, can we pair this with another horse that genetically is going to give us another horse that's going to provide the same sort of results, right? Like only about profit. So I don't know. I think that's just something that's a little bit weird, 16, 17 fowls or babies that it had given birth to, and that sort of toll it has put on its body has created that severe arch. And you see here, that's pretty crazy. I don't know. doesn't cause the horse any sort of pain. It's fact that we're putting that sort of deformity on this horse for the simple fact that we just want to ride it or we just want to breed it because we like this type of horse and we want to mix. I think there's been interviews and sort of uh, documentaries about these people who have worked at these ranches, particularly what they would call sanctuaries for these horses, and where people can provide funds, sort of like you sponsor these horses that can help get them medical attention or help with antibiotics or any sort of medical emergency. And what these places would do, not all of them, I'm not a horse expert, but what some of these places would do is if I'm trying to make a profit and I'm getting money for horses' medical bills or medical attention that I feel like isn't going to benefit the horse at all, it's not going to help. What these places will do is they'll give that money to care for another horse that they feel like is actually going to either make it or that's doing well or that they intend to sell to somebody, whether it be racing or breeding or whatever the fact. They give those funds to that horse so that way they can make a quick buck. I can provide care for the horse that is going to give me the most money and sell it for a better profit. Why am I going to spend this money that I'm getting on a horse that isn't going to bring me any money, that might not make it, that has a broken leg and isn't going to be able to run or race? So that's sort of the things that I've kind of stumbled upon as I've looked deeper into what happens to these horses that we use when either dragging carriages or working in farms. This sort of the stress that it puts on these horses' bodies. These are animals that aren't aggressive by any sort of nature. We sort of take advantage of the fact that this is an animal that is not going to attack us. You can see that the horse is obviously stressed out. It's freaking out that it has the lasso around its neck. And if I rewind here, if this was any other animal that felt threatened, he has his hands up. If it was a bear or a wild cat, that thing would attack you, right? But this is an innocent animal who isn't built to defend itself in any sort of way, right? Sure, horses can kick, right? And I guess bite. But this is a wild stallion, or I'm sorry, a wild Mustang, and you don't see it sort of do anything. It has no defenses in what it can do to escape this sort of situation. It's like preying on the weak. Might makes right. So it's sad. So this whole process of desensitizing this horse, obviously you can say that these horses at the end of the day enjoy being ridden. They enjoy being ridden by any sort of performer, but at what price, at what cost, at what sort of training and what sort of desensitizing and sort of stress do you have to put this horse under for it to be comfortable with all these things that you put it through, that you then put on it to then put it in a situation where it's going to have to race to make you money. There were a couple of videos that I've watched so far of what these people do to break a horse in. And I get, like, when you look at this, I can understand where you start to see the connection where, oh, the horse respects the person and they sort of build a relationship. I don't doubt that that actually is there. But it's sort of like Stockholm syndrome almost, where I'm here, I'm trapped. It's not like I can just run off, and you're forcing me to respect you and forcing me to be comfortable with you handling me in whatever way you want. Obviously, this horse doesn't like this person, right? If this was you or anybody that you knew or a dog, you would get annoyed. Clearly, this horse is like, get the hell away from me. And he keeps petting it. And I get the reason why he's doing this is because he wants the horse to feel comfortable with him, but not because when we buy a dog, when we shelter a dog or we shelter a cat and the dog or cat doesn't trust us, we try to encourage it to trust us, right? It comes with the fact that this dog or this cat might not have a home or might be euthanized because it's a wild dog or a wild cat or whatever the case may be. So you want to rescue this animal to take it home to prevent it from being put in a situation where it might not survive or where it might just be in a shelter for the majority of its life until they decide we can't keep this dog or this cat in here anymore, right? So it's a little bit different because the only reason why a person like this in this video is bringing this horse in isn't to rescue it from any sort of danger, isn't to rescue it to either provide it with shelter, or specifically says in the video, they want to train this horse they want to break it in so that way they can sell this horse to somebody for profit. They bought this horse from somebody that was wild, probably at a low price because obviously it's a wild horse and it's going to work to break the horse in, right? $40 an hour to break this horse in and then sell the horse at a profit. So even if this was a horse that became attached to you, the only reason why you built that attachment and that sort of love for each other, if that's what you want to call it, is to sell you because I need to pay for my college. You know, there's other ways to pay for your college, no offense, right? When you look at a video like this, like how cringe is this to have the on sale now? It's so bizarre to look at. Selling the autonomy of this horse's life, its private parts and its children, all for profit, is just, I don't know, just something that is just so cringe and so odd to me. I'm sure that these people genuinely love their horses, but I feel like there needs to be almost a symbiotic relationship with a horse. If you're an animal lover or a horse lover and you want to rescue these horses and take them into your sanctuary, right? Why do you find the need to have to ride them? Why does the horse need to be ridden? Can't you show it love in other ways? Can't you just have it roam freely on your land and just provide you with any other sort of love or care that you might expect from having a dog or a cat? We don't rescue dogs or cats and then have our dog bring in our groceries or have our cat clean the house and clean the toilet. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't agree that you have to ride your horse to show it that you care, whether you think it likes it or not. I think that the steps it took for that horse to get there is something that is a little bit too cruel. I feel like it's almost trying to be spun in a way that, you know, you see this horse eventually, yeah, learns how to jump over the struts. But it's interesting. I watched this video and I almost have the reverse perspective of, it says all lights turned off can be turned on. And it almost feels like the reverse of that, right? The horse's natural instinct is to not be ridden, is to not just jump these struts for performance, to, if it feels freaked out or scared, is to run away. And it's almost like you're trying to turn those lights off. So I just think it's interesting. Like that's my perspective, a vegan's perspective, from this caption of the lights turned off can be turned on. It seems like you want to turn the natural instincts of the horse off so that you can ride it, so that you can give it commands to jump over these struts just so you can compete in a tournament and win some money and win gratification for what you did. It feels backwards to me. So that's my perspective on this whole using horses in entertainment. And this is a more personal approach, more commentary style of video. If you enjoy the more documentative style, go watch the video on my channel here. And I see people commenting on some of my previous videos, both vegans and non-vegans, and I genuinely appreciate the comments regardless. I think that some conversations are meant to be had, and so far, no promises, so far the comments have been respectful to some degree, and let's try to keep it that way. So with that being said, share your opinions in the comment section below. Remember to keep it respectful, and I'll see you in the next video.